Alright, now that I've pretty much sealed most of this, I've about run out of time because this particular iPad is used for a point of sale um, cash register with PayPal for business, and so it needs to be back ASAP. Um, I did part one of this vlog to show you different alternatives to seal it up. And my biggest concern was this area here. In here is really badly shattered and big chunks of glass were coming out. I worked it from the outside going in, letting it dry each time with this unit off, and then went back to check to see if any of it seeped into the motherboard or anything. Now this camera may not work again because there's so much broken pieces in this area. I don't know how well it'll work. These covers can be purchased from $20 and up, but the average is usually about 150 or so. And I'll tell you, this is not something you really want to do on your own unless you really know what you're doing. The Apple iPads and iPhones are sealed units. They're not like a Android phone or something like that. They're a little bit different. They're completely sealed. So it really needs to go to a professional. And again, if you have a warranty or anything like that, you void your warranty if you screwball with these. But most of them will charge you anywhere from $300 for a screen this big, $300 and up to replace it. And what they do is they heat this up like with a hair dryer to release the glues and stuff. They lift this off, disconnect pieces that are connected to it, and then load a new one in. And you got to be good. But for the time being, this has to be used. And it was just in a dangerous condition because it's apparently been dropped, and then people have been pushing on the camera thinking it's the button. I added a dab of nail polish there that also glows in the dark that maybe will assist that, and then I may put some notations on the casing, which I had cleaned up, soaked it in some purple cleaner several hours, and I used one of these dry eraser things to assist in cleaning the dirt and grime off of this, because this is used constantly every day. And so I went ahead and sealed it very carefully with the unit off, and it's taken many, many hours. I've got about 13 hours in on this. But you can see all the cracking. There's a lot of cracking. This is shattered in here, extends through here, comes down through here, goes to here. There's some shattered area here, shattered area here. And so these pieces were pretty loose. The worst was up here. They were actually falling out. Now there's a slight ridge here because I didn't get all the glass set down into it. It shifted. But it's safe to put your fingers over it, where it sure wasn't before. Glass is a bad, bad thing. Small piece of glass can go through your system and kill you, go right through your heart. So anyway, I've sealed it up, and this is actually dried overnight. I worked it and worked it and worked it yesterday. It is dried overnight. The motherboard seems to not be damaged, so I didn't get any of the sealer down underneath the glass. My biggest point is to connect these pieces together so they stay together until the new glass is put in. And then in the meantime, since it's completely dry, because you've got to make sure it's dry before you wipe it with anything, it'll turn all that sealer white, and that it just is terrible. but there's a slight bit of residue around the lines. See that whiteness? And I mean, it's not bad, but I take this pad dry and lightly buff it and buff it and buff it and buff it, which also helps for scratches too, to smooth scratches out a little bit too. I won't really remove them, and just smooth it down a little bit. But the dry erase pad, these pads, the El Cheapo ones from Dollar Tree don't have any soap in them, and the Mr. Clean ones usually do. But this is essentially sandpaper. It's an ultra fine sandpaper, and I do this on windshields and everything to get all kinds of residue off, so that I can get the windshield smooth and clean. And you know, if you have sand damage to windshield and then, you know, you wax it, it'll leave little white dots all over because it's stuck in the holes. So I use this to get the windshield clean and get everything off, and it won't hurt it. Now this is glass, so you know, plastic, yeah, it may abrade it, but this is glass, so I just lightly do this because you don't want to push on it because you've just repaired it. Okay, and you don't want to get these two pieces that were joined together to move anymore. That's why we joined them. So in order to have the ultimate finish, we want to polish it down and try to get that white off. We don't want to scrape it with a razor blade. We want to keep it level so that it keeps, you know, this surface level. If you scrape it with a razor blade here or here to really get in there and get that out, then you just defeated your purpose, because you're going to have a raised side and a lower side. I want to keep them conjoined. I just want to smooth the surface down and make sure that it's not got defects looking. Actually, when you light it up, it really looks good. But it's safer to use. It's sealed, so it protects the motherboard and everything underneath this from moisture. I'm in a very humid area in Florida, and when the moisture starts seeping in there, things starts acting up. So I'm trying to keep it waterproof till it gets to the repairman to put a new glass in it. Case is really important. Now, though, I've got an ultra thin. Of course, you can still see the cracks from here, but they're sealed. But once you turn it on, they're basically invisible. I've got an ultra thin protector that I got, and I'm going to try to lay this on here and see if it will continue to operate well, and then keep it protected. Because these iPads, they're horrible when you try to put screen protectors on them. They just won't work. The touch sensor doesn't work, and that's what we use it for, is with the touch sensor. But this is an ultimate flexible magnetic cover, cut to fit, and I'm going to try to lay that on a section, like probably right like this over the main screen, because this goes in this case. That I want to make sure that it stays pretty clear and safe until it gets repaired. So that's what I do, but you want to make sure you do it with the unit off. That's really important. I mean, you can of course check as you go along. I did, after you know, sections dried at a time, I would turn it on and see if it was still operating, if you know, any of it seeped behind the screen. So it did all right. I wished I had more time to fool with it, but I don't. It needs to go back to where it goes, and to do inventories and keep track of sales for that location. But for now, it's so much safer, and it will stay together most probably until it gets repaired. But I mean, you can run your finger over it. It's safe to use without getting glass in somebody's fingers or something. Let's see, look, this one could have been done a few more times. A lot of it you have to keep redoing the layers. You clean it and then redo it again and redo it again and redo it again so you could try to get it level. You can do phones this way too. I've done phones in Apple iPhone watches. But you just lightly polish. You don't want to press hard because then you just defeat your purpose if you break this conjoined area. And you just have to sit and do it and do it and do it till you get it virtually clean. And like I say, it does smooth out the other little scratches pretty good too. And I use it dry. But it takes a lot of hours. A lot of hours. If you have the money, go get it done. And have a new screen put in. Use a good case. And if possible, get a screen protector. Because these things are really expensive to repair. Even a phone is horrible expensive to repair. So I had a chance years ago to get a new Apple iPhone, whatever, really cheap from someone that had broke the screen. But when I called around, most of the places wanted $300 or $500 to change the screen out. I'm like, wow. So there you have it. That's how I do it. But this looks really good once you light it up. The cracks don't look so bad. You can see them reflecting in the light, but as far as looking at the screen, it's not too bad. It'll do for a minute. Now you see that it looks really, really good compared to what it was. And it's safer to use. But again, I don't know if this camera is going to work because it is pretty shattered up. But I managed to keep all the pieces together in it. And hopefully this color on the button will keep them from mistaking the camera for a button. Anyway, I hope you have a great one. Love to you. And I hope that helps you a lot. Talk to you later.